Hello. It's Thursday. I almost said Wednesday. That's going to be a hard habit to break. It is time for Thursday weekly wedding prep. Hello to my fellow officiants and other onlookers, perhaps vendors, perhaps you're getting married. This is the place for officiants who have an upcoming wedding. We are going to talk ceremonies. We are going to talk the nitty gritty of our scripts. We are going to talk about ceremony flow, elements, things like that. We're going to talk about the business of officiating. I've got a few things today to mention, but of course, it's really driven by a lot of you. As we said, this feels more like an office hours session. That's the format I'd like to move forward with. And this is week 2. Last week, we had a bustling conversation. If you haven't seen that yet, we covered all kinds of really good topics that I have kind of referred back to. Some great ideas in the chat. I mean, when we talked about, for example, asking your couple about a review, how often do you do that kind of thing? And I said, well, I only do it once. But if you want to do it twice, if they don't leave a review, you should have some sort of excuse. So, maybe follow up with them a couple weeks later or a few weeks, like 6 weeks later, however long it takes for paperwork to get processed where you live, and tell them, hey, now your paperwork should be processed. Just wanted to let you know that you can reach out for a marriage certificate, or maybe you are involved in that process somehow as an officiant where you live. We're going to talk legality a bit more in this conversation later. But then we had a great recommendation, I think it was from Nancy, who said, hey, and even if they don't do that, maybe a year later you say, happy anniversary. It's been 1 year. I loved your ceremony. You two are great. Hey, you can still leave a review at this link. Okay, so that's the kind of thing where I love when we get together. If you are watching in the chat, I'd say like a percentage, a fraction of some of the smarts, some of the insight, some of the wisdom comes from me. But it's mostly happening in the chat. So you do not want to miss it. I want to let you know now, please get your questions in. So this is a place, even if you're saying, hey, Mark, here's some wording. What would you say to this? I've got a wedding coming up. This one threw me for a loop a little bit. That's what this is for. Like I say, kind of the feeling of office hours. And we used to do this more kind of for members' office hours up to now. For years and years and years, I've had open members' office hours. But as I said last week, we're going to switch that to more of a Zoom chat, which is going to be an interesting thing to try the last Tuesday of this month. So the last Tuesday of every month, members, we hang out. But I love this format, and especially those of you who are officiating, maybe just heard about Unboring Wedding, maybe you've already finished your ceremony script. And that's why you haven't purchased the course Unboring Wedding Academy. That must be the only reason. I can't think of any other reason. It's because you're already finished. You found me too late, and I do hear that a lot. Mark, I wish I'd found you a few weeks ago. I'm doing everything I can to be number one on Google and other SEO, but sometimes people do find me too late, and that's why Thursday weekly wedding prep I think is really apropos, because some of you have a wedding tomorrow or Saturday. Last week, we talked to Mike, who is like, I'm on my way. I got one today. I got a rehearsal tonight. And a lot of you are kind of piling up as the weekend approaches. So got a few things I'm going to share with you today. But as I said, this is mostly driven by you. How was your week? I had a lovely wedding on Saturday at my favorite venue, as I kind of confessed last week when Ben just put it to everybody. What's your favorite venue? And I hope you answered, Ben, the guy, don't leave him hanging. And if you didn't last week, you can this week. What's your favorite wedding venue, or what do you look for in a wedding vendor? Mine was hands down the Algonquin Resort in St. Andrews by the Sea. And I got to officiate there on their rooftop pavilion this week. There's a kind of a little pagoda, and you get under there, and there were like 25 guests, and it was lovely and really intimate. And the acoustics are so good that you don't even need a microphone, which I absolutely love. They read their own vows to each other. Instead of a vow book, this was an interesting little thing that they did. I expected it to be a vow book. And if you've seen a vow book for the couples, it's kind of like the thing now. They're the size of a passport. And usually, the couple will each marry, will write their vows in it and put it inside. You can put it inside your binder. And when it's time for them to read the vows, I like to have it on my person and hand it to each of them. Step back, step right away. You do not need to be there when they're saying their vows to each other. And so typically I just hand them the vow book, take 3 giant steps back. They read their vows to each other, and then they switch. But then it was interesting because this time, right before the ceremony, I said, "Where are those vow books?" And the groom handed me like 2 full moleskins. Actually, the ones that I go through these like crazy, and whenever I fill one, I just order another. I just had to do that, and he handed me 2 of these, and I was a bit nervous because that's a lot of pages. But as it turned out, they just couldn't get their hand on any other kind of little book before the ceremony, so they purchased a couple of these. And thankfully, I said to them, "Wow, how long are your vows going to be?" They can be as long as you want, and I do get that asked. Get asked that. I don't know if you do, fellow officiant, but how long should my vows be? And I say, you are in the driver's seat. It's the same answer for all these kind of questions, right, friends? When a couple says, "What should we do?" The answer that I love is it's whatever you want, really. And I would say within reason, but hey, sometimes it's even unreasonable. But as officiants, we are facilitating the vision of our couple. They only filled like the first page and a half. So not sure what they're going to each do with the rest of their brand new moleskin notebooks. But that was another little first. Every week there was a first. I told you 2 weeks ago there was no pen on the table. I had to pen. It was an oversight on my part. I messed up. I had to go over to the DJ and ask in the middle of the thing, well, the processional, which was super long, "Hey, can you go get a pen?" And so things happen. Things happen to the best of us, the worst of us, which sometimes I can be at both ends of the spectrum depending on the situation. That's the kind of stuff we're here to talk about. I'm so interested in hearing from you today. What do you got coming up this weekend? What are you working on? What are you wondering about? Sabrina is here from San Antonio. I believe you're the first one to tag the bass. So hello. Speaking of bass, how about those Jays, eh? How about those Jays? I don't watch the games because they start at 9 o'clock Atlantic time, and I'm in bed at 9:30 every night because I wake up before 6. But I wake up in the morning and I watch the YouTube replay, and it looks like the Blue Jays just won the first round of the American League Championship Series. So Division Series, that's right. So congratulations, Toronto, my old stomping grounds. And better luck next time, New York Yankees. Any baseball fans here, or am I speaking in a vacuum? Paul, hello from sunny Trumbull, Connecticut. So we got Texas in the house. We got Connecticut in the house. The Eastern Seaboard is well represented. Washington is here. There's the West Coast. Good to see you. Electric City, Jerry, thanks for being here. And you're saying hello from Mom's retirement in Sharon, Ontario. Good to see you, fellow Ontarian. Again, how about those Jays? Sarah's here. Good to see you. Elaine from the Isle of Wight. A fabulous day today. We are enjoying our day, and it's better because you're here. We're enjoying it now. Sabrina says you're leaving tomorrow for a full weekend of rehearsals and weddings up in the hill country of Texas. That's amazing. So, Sabrina, do you head up there and like stay? Do you get a place and officiate like a pinball? Is that the thing? Do you travel up there? Well, I'd love to hear what's going on in your world. Ben's here and says hello from sunny and calm North Dakota. And Anita, good morning from beautiful fall-like day in Tennessee. And like I say, get your questions in. I'm going to star them when I see them in my my kind of chat interface here, and I can get to them. I try not to miss them, and so I'll kind of like stack them up, whatever questions you might have. This is your chance and your time. Anita says, participating in your first wedding vendor show this weekend. That's amazing. We talked about that last weekend. Anita, good to see that. At a brand new grand venue in your immediate area, although it's quite rural. That's fantastic. I'm quite rural as well. This little seaside area just north of Maine here in New Brunswick. Absolutely love those wedding shows. Remember what we talked about, Anita? Have your availability kind of memorized. We talked about this last week. And just be ready with those questions. Who's getting married? Do you have an officiant yet? When's your date? Boom, look at that. I'm available. Here's a bit about what I do. Here's my rack card, and you're good to go. And as we discussed last week as well, this is kind of a way of circumventing some of those chem checks. You can kind of, once you meet couples and they reach out to you and say, we met you at the wedding show, you can usually just book them right then and there. And it's a fantastic way to book couples. And even if you don't book couples, meeting all your fellow vendors, representing yourself and your business in front of all your wedding vendor colleagues. You can't put a price on that. It's amazing. Pascal is here. Good to see you, Pascal. I will be speaking to you in a few hours. We have a phone appointment. I know you're officiating this weekend, and I'm very, very excited for you because I looked at your script and it's killer. I can't wait to tell you on the phone. What do you want to talk to me about? What, Pascal? What? Because this is a perfect script. So anyway, that's later. Coaching, a phone call comes with Unboring Wedding Academy for every member, and Pascal is taking advantage of that, so I'm looking forward to being on the phone. Cynthia, you've got one coming up this Saturday. I know poor Cindy, you emailed me. I don't want to put you on the spot here, but yeah, some of the answers from your couple were a bit sparse. You're working on the love story. You are doing your best to flesh out the story, but you're gonna see what happens. You'll do it, and as I told you, this happens a lot. I actually put this in one of my notes to bring up today. It does happen where your couple doesn't give you all of the data, all the information that you're happy with, and then of course you run it through our love story caster, and the love story caster says there's almost nothing here, so it gets conflicting information where part of the commands of the love story caster is try to make it about 1,000 words, but also don't make anything up. And I think when this happens, it kind of freaks out and says, which one do I choose? Do I make it about 1,000 words or not make anything up? It's conflicting. The love story caster can only work if you give it information. And I would say if it's really, really short, you don't need the love story caster. That's why I say review stage 4 of the course, where I give you my 10 fail-safe story writing tips. And when you don't have a lot of information, it's really easy. You can write the story in 15, 20 minutes anyway. And Cindy, I know that you are pumped this week. You're a little bit disappointed that you don't have as much fleshed out answers, but thank you for emailing me, and I may talk about that a little bit more in the show upcoming. Opie is good to see here. Hello from chilly New York, and Scott is here. Good to see you from Nashville. You'll be leaving early, but great to be here. Well, that's good. I'm glad you are here. I'm just typing in something there, and okay, where were we? Let's see. Tamara's here from Hello Unboring Family from Loves Park, Illinois. And Kiki is here. My goodness, it has been a long time. Kiki, where have you been? Are we going to see you at Wedding MBA in Vegas this year? Or are you going to make yourself, are you just popping up and then going underground again for a while? So good to see you, Kiki. I'm thrilled you're here. Opie says, I haven't been to the Algonquin, but my parents have. Are you serious, Opie? Your parents have been to the Algonquin Resort in St. Andrews by the Sea? That is fantastic. Yeah, I love when I'm on my way to a ceremony and I walk through the parking lot, seeing the license plates from hither and yon. Is that how you say it? I absolutely love that. And so I wonder if I have seen New York plates that were your parents at some point. Who knows how long ago that was, or if they even live in New York. I'm just inventing fiction right now. Hello from Washington, D.C. You have a rehearsal tonight, Francine. That is amazing. Any questions about the rehearsal, pop them in here. But of course, I have a YouTube video on how to run the rehearsal. When it comes to Unboring Wedding Academy, I have a full 1 hour primer on exactly how to structure it, run it, all the things to look for, a fail-safe checklist, all the things. The rehearsal is one of my favorite things. I have one tomorrow night for my wedding coming up, and I'm excited about that. The rehearsal is a great time and place to break the ice, have a lot of fun with the couple and their friends and family. I do, absolutely recommend it 100%, because it's the first time your couple sees you in that element, that kind of public element of, you've worked with them one-on-one, you had your chem check with them, you've sent them emails, so they know you're proficient and amazing by this point. But then I love before the wedding day, giving them the confidence that, hey, I can lead your friends and family through a really fun, boisterous, tight, well-organized time to make sure that we are more relaxed on the wedding day. Opie says, my favorite is Glen Island Harbor Club. Okay, we're getting back into wedding venue preferences. My favorite is Glen Island Harbor Club in Westchester, New York. for large weddings, and Mountainville Manor in Cornwall, New York for micro weddings. I have one there tomorrow and next week. Oh, that's amazing. So you get to, like me, you get to officiate in your favorite venue rather often. and there is nothing like it. So that's great. And you have a wedding, a wedding rehearsal in 3 hours. I love how so many of you squeeze us in. You've all got places to go, things to do, but I'm thrilled that you join us live. There's nothing like it. Austin, is good to see you here from Hawaii, I believe. Can't wait to meet you at the Vegas. Are you going? That is amazing. Okay, I'm so excited to see you there. And as a member, remember, I'm going to be trying to take members out to dinner on the Wednesday. So hopefully you can make it. Scott with his fighting words here says, go Mariners. Okay, so should you and I put a little wager down, Scott? I'm going to just plug my computer in here. Take a moment to do that. There we go. Don't want to go dying on you. Okay, so we do have. Oh, Carla, yeah. Carla. I love you're very active on social media. I already know you're a Cubs fan. I would have known that even if you hadn't said "Go Cubs" here. But perhaps your Cubs and my Jays will meet each other at the big game. I am hoping the Jays go all the way on one hand, and on the other, for reasons that I just told you, because it starts at like 9 p.m. Atlantic. I just can't stay up that late. But if they make it to the World Series, I am going to have to stay up that late and watch the World Series and be a freaking zombie. So that'll be like right at the end of October, I would imagine, which, hey, with Wedding MBA and Vegas coming up, so soon after that, maybe I should just switch to Vegas time at the end of October and just keep it going. Just go to bed at 3 a.m. every night. That makes it hard though to wake up my kids for school. Opie says, I had my first bridezilla. Okay. Didn't see it coming. This is why we're here, support group. I mean, I know you handled it, Opie, but the level of anxiety I had is one I don't want to experience ever again. I'm so sorry to hear that, Opie. At the end of the ceremony, she couldn't stop hugging me, though. Fantastic. That, it's interesting. I think a lot about, I'm involved in kind of local politics sometimes, our municipal scene, things happening in town. And I'm on the board of our local kind of shelter for people who are experiencing homelessness. We have a label, Bridezilla, but Bridezilla, Groomzilla, whatever it is, to me, these are folks who are ratcheted up with anxiety. And we see people when they're not at their best. And I bring up the municipal stuff and the shelter stuff because in the same way, we encounter people in those circumstances who are really upset about something, and they're acting in a way that maybe even would surprise them. Certainly when you're on the receiving end of it, you're like, whoa, that is uncalled for. But then when it's over, when something is resolved, or when the problem is not as acute, and I would say right after the ceremony, that's a lot of the time where the bubble bursts and the marriers kind of come back to their senses and go, this is actually fantastic. This is actually working out well. They kind of snap out of it. So a lot of the Zilla stuff really is, right? This everything has come to this building point, this boiling point of stress and anxiety and fear that things aren't going to go well. All the money, all the time, all the planning, all the, which is why I say again, please get a wedding planner, couples. You're just going to be so much happier. And we officiants love, the rest of your vendors will love you, etc. But that's interesting, that dynamic that you bring up, Opie, of it was terrible, and then bang, couldn't stop hugging you. Oh my gosh, it's like relief. It's like, wow, waking up from a stupor. Who was I the last few months? This day is actually going pretty well. So obviously you're a consummate professional, Opie, and there was no reason not to stop hugging you. I can understand why your couple just felt like they were in excellent hands. Ben says, I'm working on a pop-up open house in my favorite venue, Nastad Acres. They've invited some very elite vendors, and I guess they included me in that group. So excited. That's absolutely amazing. A pop-up open house. So I love this. I love that so many of you are expressing an interest and a willingness to go to wedding shows. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of conversation on social media about, is it worth it? What's the ROI? I have to spend $400, $500, $600, $700 on a table. Bleh, that's so expensive. And I get it. If you're tight and can't afford that kind of thing, it's tough. But if you are investing in your business, if you are willing to put some cash at risk on the line, and all marketing is that way, if you put a billboard next to the highway, it costs $5,000. You don't know exactly what the return is going to be on that. And it's the same way here, but it's an investment in your business. You go, you put your best foot forward, you meet all the people. And if you're in it for the long game, these are seeds that you plant. I talk all about this in my pro course. I talk about joining the Chamber of Commerce locally. I tried, you want to just join as many things as yourself, because you are, meeting people, and it's that interpersonality that really lets people know about you. But you're also representing your business and your brand, and that's why when you have cards and signs and marketing materials, you want to get to events that give you an excuse to hand these things out to make your brand known. And so, Ben, congratulations. Of course, you are very elite. You wouldn't say so yourself, but the rest of us know you are. As a longtime member of our community and purchaser of the course and the things and Officiantly and all that stuff. So super happy for you that things continue to go well for you. Pascal says, how long should the story speech part of the ceremony be? And I'm going to succinctly answer that. Not smugly, I hope, but just say it needs to be as long as it needs to be. And I'm saying that to bridge in Cindy, who, hey, this is a good time to talk about this now. So thank you for that segue, Pascal. I've read your script, of course. It's fantastic. Is it a bit on the shorter side? Maybe, but no. I told Cindy this in the email to her. No wedding guest says, man, I wish that wedding ceremony were longer. It was too short. Right? Even when I go on a roller coaster, when we cruise into the station, and yes, my wife and I go in Vegas at New York, every year to that roller coaster on top of the New York Hotel and Casino. When it comes to an end, we screamed, we laughed hysterically the whole time. What is it, like 90 seconds in total? I don't wish that it were longer. And if I did, last year we got the double pass. We went again, and we bought 2 tickets right away. Went around, we went again, and we felt really sick after the second time because we're in our 40s. Once is enough. Apparently 2 times is too many. When you roll into the station, you go, that was amazing. And even if you're a little disappointed that it felt short, you're not upset that it was too short. I say it's the same thing with wedding ceremonies. And I do use the roller coaster analogy. It works in a couple of ways, because I always say you want to structure the wedding ceremony to be a high point, low point, very emotional. And then, you're laughing and you're crying. It's romantic. It's hilarious. You're bringing up the couple's foibles and kind of unique things about them. And then, you're getting serious about how beautiful and wonderful they are and how silly they are. And so that ride through a wedding ceremony is fantastic. That's why everybody at the end is almost breathless. They're just like, that was incredible. So there is a too long, I would argue, but there is not a too short. So I think I say in the course something like, you want to make sure your speech doesn't go longer than 12-ish minutes. And that sounds like a lot of time until you write the story, which is about 8-ish minutes. And even Cindy, I said, this is kind of short, but it'll be like a shortish story is 5 to 6 minutes. You would not believe, when you speak with pacing and poise, how long it takes to say a short story. And just the chronology and how they felt. The chronology of this love story begins the way all great love story begins, in a cow field when he was there to drop off some farm equipment and she was tossing hay, and they look over, they see each other. It's just a nod at first, but then he makes his delivery the next time. It can be so quick, but it can draw out their first date, the proposal, then what they love about each other, right? And that should take a little bit of time, a minute or two. And then what other people love about them, you make sure to send those surveys out. Officiantly does all this automatically for you. And then you get those answers in and you read those out in like a kind of mosaic pastiche of things about them. Before you know it, you're at 8 minutes or so, and that is plenty. That's the strange, interesting thing about giving a wedding speech I've noticed, is that 8 minutes feels like, wow, it's over already. 12 minutes, north of 12 minutes starts to feel like, is this the Lord of the Rings? Like, is it ever going to end? You start seeing the couple like look over your binder to wonder how many pages you have left. That's not a good feeling. Ending too quickly is much better. It feels much better than ending not soon enough. So I would say those are kind of like your guardrails. There is such thing as too long. There's no such thing as too short because of, and I will say this, because of expectations, because guests don't want a long ceremony anyway. They go to the ceremony space, and I'm sorry, but the mentality often is, as soon as I see the gorgeous bride or brides or the handsome grooms or whatever it is, we're done. Are we done here? We saw them. We had the processional. It was beautiful. It made us cry. As soon as the officiant starts talking, well, look at the time. When's cocktail hour? That's why I say my favorite moment in a wedding ceremony is when I say, how did we get here today? And the guests go, wait a minute, whoa, he's talking to us, first of all. That's very unusual. Usually the officiant just talks to the couple the whole time, and we are like decorative decorations on the chairs here. So right away, they're like, why is the officiant talking to us? And then you say, I'm going to tell you a true version of the story of how Sarah and Dennis got here today. And eyes are locked on, heads snap up, smiles start, eyes glow. That is my favorite moment, when you surprise them and say, hey, friends, I hinted at it in the opening remarks that this is going to be awesome because I was talking to you and whipping you up a little bit, but now I'm going to tell the story. And so, like I say, because expectations are low, even if you just do that and then spend 5 to 8 minutes and blissfully do not include a ton of platitudes and finger wagging about what the couple, the responsibility of what love means, etc. I'm not denigrating that, because if your couple wants that, and that is kind of how you feel like you want to make a contribution, you can do some of that. But I'll tell you, guests, and I say this as a guest, like when you go to enough weddings, it's kind of cliche, right? And if you don't think so, you can watch Wedding Crashers, where that movie, it's an older movie. It makes fun of, Will Ferrell, Vince Vaughn. It kind of makes fun of wedding ceremony platitudes. And as an officiant, that's like, oof. But the emotion and the meaning and the depth and the gravitas of the ceremony is so important. And that's why we want to have it. I talked about that last year at Wedding MBA in my talk there. And I stand by it. It's what makes the ceremony so incredible. So thank you for that question. How long should the story speech be? I would say as long as it needs to be. If you haven't been given much material, like in Cindy's case, say, and I was on here, I think last week, showing you some of the sparse answers that I got in Officiantly from one half of the couple versus the other. Although I could be mixing that up with members only office hours. They were so close together. So it can be on the shorter side, but time yourself, and getting north of 12, 13 minutes, that's just too long. When you're talking about a ceremony that's typically 25-ish minutes in total, when you have the processional, your speech, vows, however many ways they want to say them, ring exchange, maybe some other unity ritual, pronouncing them married, signing in the ceremony, which I recommend, coming back, giving closing remarks, presenting them for the first time. Usually my ceremonies are 25 minutes to half an hour. You don't want your talking part to be more than a third of that, I would say, your speech part, okay? So thank you for that. And again, Pascal, I love that you asked that question here. We'll touch base later today. Sika is here from the UK, gray and cold. Feel much warmer for being here with my lovely fellow celebrants. I love it. And I prefer the word celebrant, to be honest, but we say officiant here in the US and Canada. So hello to Sika from across the pond. Absolutely thrilled that you are here. And Sabrina's answering my question now. You get a hotel room in the area to cut down on the travel time and be close by to rest between events. That is smart. And of course, if you got multiple weddings, you do want to be close. I talk about the nightmare day that I had to drive from Niagara to downtown Toronto. That's over an hour and a half drive. Things went wrong. I was at that second ceremony over an hour late, and it almost this was back in 2016 before I even started Unboring Wedding, but it almost caused me to quit officiating. It was so traumatic to me to be late and let people down like that. Ever since then, I've taken mitigating measures, including not taking 2 ceremonies on the same day. That's an extreme example. Usually, it has happened occasionally, especially post-COVID, where I was stacking weddings that had been canceled and pushed from 2020 into 2021, etc., and made sure that those weddings had like 2-3 hours between them, and I was only 20 minutes away or half an hour between venues. Anita said you have been reviewing videos of the course. That's amazing. Good. Winter, good to see you from Indianapolis. Thank you for your channel. I was asked by one of my best friends to officiate her wedding this weekend, so it'll be her first time. Without your channel, I wouldn't feel confident. I'm so thrilled to hear that, and that is largely why we are here, and all the incredible members of Unboring Wedding Academy in the chat. We are rooting for you. We are cheering you on. I'm absolutely thrilled, and that is how so many of us got our start, is by officiating for a friend. And so I'm thrilled that you found the channel helpful, and I hope to continue to do that. Opie says, at my last show, I added something interactive. Mad Libs Vows. I've had 4 bookings from that show. Mad Libs Vows. Opie, I want you to spill the tea on that. Are you going to be at Wedding MBA this year? I'd love to hear more about that. Or maybe you can pop on our next Zoom style office hours and describe what that's like. That sounds fun. And you have had 4 bookings from that show. Obviously, what you did is pretty effective, and I love to hear it. Sherry, good to see you. Excited to catch this. You have a couple of weddings this weekend. Look at how busy we are, friends. I'm so excited to see how busy you are. Julie, good to hear from you as well. I've just answered one of your emails. You are really wanting to book into 2027, so absolutely thrilled to hear that. Putting the finishing touches to all the admin contracts, privacy policies, a couple of bookings for 2027. That is amazing. You are in Saudi Arabia. What an adventure. Good to see. Forever Incredible Carla says, busy weekend rehearsal for your 10-10-25 wedding, another ceremony in 10-11-25. And I love seeing, Carla, you on Instagram. You story yourself a lot. You kind of show where you are. It's really cool to see where you are in your element, in your environs. I think that's really cool. Kimberly's here. Good morning. And Claire from Penticton, BC. Sherry is in Maine. Yes, I love that Sherry Maines is in Maine. I always remember that when I drive through Maine, as I will be. We'll be going to Boston to fly out to Wedding MBA in a few weeks. And I love Maine. Vacation land, right? We live just north of vacation land. We actually work hard here in New Brunswick. But it's nice to be close to vacation land. It is gorgeous. It is God's country up there. Absolutely love it. And, we are siblings. I can see Maine from my house, as I have said. Is it the joke from seeing Russia from Alaska? That's a while ago. That's an old American politics joke, courtesy of SNL, I believe. Kiki says, I have had a full summer and sadly not from weddings. Wedding MBA, yes, I will be there. Shot, good. Okay, Kiki, glad you'll be there. Looking forward to seeing everyone who's going to be there. Who else is going? All right, so Kiki's rounding up a crew here in the chat. Sabrina's going to be at Wedding MBA again this year. Scott's still talking baseball. I hate the fact that Jays fans come and take over T-Mobile Park. They're wonderful and insufferable. Hey, you can do what the Yankees did, and they didn't allow Canadians to purchase tickets in Yankee Stadium. It was quite a controversy. They had some kind of reason about international transfers or something like that. But Canadians were pretty miffed that when their tickets went on sale, if you had a Canadian address, you were forbidden from buying tickets. Thank you for not doing that, Seattle, as far as I know right now. Sherry hopes she never has her first bridezilla. It is really tough, as Opie said. I've had only a couple in all my years officiating, and that's where I say the screening process really does help. And by screening, I mean the chem check. You're never going to catch everybody, so if you do have a bride or groomzilla. It's not on you. And like I say, it's always good to remember how much stress and expectation they have. I love connecting with the couple at the wedding workshop a few weeks, 4 to 6 weeks before, checking in with them. How are you doing? And man, you really get a sense there of like, especially if the couple's together, how are things going, the unspoken energy between them. Some of them are like, it's all great, we got a planner, it's all nothing more to do, it's fantastic. Some of them are like, there's so many loose ends, I feel out of control, I'm super stressed. And so in either case, you say, well, we're here to talk about the ceremony, we're going to nail down the ceremony today. My purview is the ceremony. At the end of this 1 hour meeting, you're going to know all the things for the ceremony, except maybe 2 or 3, but we'll nail those down in the weeks to come. You're going to know what you know. You're going to know what you don't know. It's going to be fantastic. Like, all you can do as the officiant is lock down what you're in charge of, which is the ceremony and all the details around that, microphones and people and chairs and things like that. You run all those things by your couple. This is kind of a good segue, I guess, into one of the questions that I see so many questions in Facebook groups for officiants and celebrants and things about like, how should I introduce my couple at the end? Like, for example, one of them is a doctor. What do I say doctor? Or there's this family situation that have become a prize. I don't know if I should seat people ahead of time or after, and all of these questions that often get asked that we're wondering, what do I do? What should I do? These are questions for the wedding workshop. That is that in person. You can't put enough value on this. 4 to 6 weeks before the day, sit down with your couple, leave no stone unturned, go through their ceremony with them chronologically, and you will catch everything. I mean, before Officiantly came out, I wrote a book. Remember these things? They're called books. I wrote this back in 2020. I forget now. And this whole book, which is about as thick as a moleskin, incidentally, is all about that session. It's about going through chronologically, piece by piece, part by part, apprising your couple of every option at every turn in their ceremony. Okay, here at this part, we can do this. I can ask you the question, who gives this woman to be married? Or I can say, hey, dad or escort or all parents, do you give your blessing and support? Or we can do no question. You can stop at the front row. Your fiance can go and take you by the hand and leave. It's like that. How do you want to say your vows? How are we doing any seating at the beginning? Who's coming in when? Now, there's something called formal seating. Those people don't have to be part of the processional. They can be, et cetera, et cetera. You walk your couple through all that. And that is all in the book. And then, of course, after that, I released Officiantly, which is our software here. I'm just going to share this up on the screen. And you see, this is last week's ceremony. I'll show you this week's ceremony, Mariah and Dylan, because this is an example of the level of detail. We go into the ceremony script draft area. The first part of Officiant, every ceremony has this dashboard. The wedding workshop area, you go into here when you are a member of Unboring Wedding Academy. You have access to Officiantly, and you walk them through all of these questions. See, like the microphone situation, 15 minutes till the ceremony. Have they done a first look? Where's Marrier A? Where's Marrier B? Ceremony start. Is there a party? Is there preliminary formal honorary seating? What's the opening of marks? What music starts? Dylan's party, Mariah's party, the entrance, et cetera, et cetera. Look at all these people who we move around, put them in the right order. And then I'll show you this week. I have a ceremony this Saturday. And you'll see this kind of thing. Who should enter where? Should the people sit before the processional? You ask your couple this, and then it's all listed out. Once you generate the ceremony, all the answers that they provided for you, you just click a button and they appear here. And so you can see the ceremony I have this weekend. Mark oversees the marshalling at the rear entrance. And here is the lineup. You have Josh, Jordan, Carol, the grandmother of the bride, Chris, the best man, Debbie, the mother of the bride, with Michael, the brother of the bride, Dylan, the groom, Paul with the father of the groom, and Anne, the mother of the groom. But that's not the processional. That's why we have kind of a line here. Everything's editable in this format. Then you have the processional, which is Harrison and Landon, the ring bearers, and then Lauren, the flower girl, then Julie, Megan, the sister of the bride, Jackie, Ashley, maid of honor, Mariah, Garrett. You're like, wow, there's so many moving parts here. And the way that we nailed all this down is because we sat down and worked it through. The entire opening with the couple is all here. So you can see here how, the start of the ceremony, it's Josh is going to come in with Jordan, Carol with Chris, Debbie with Michael, Dylan with Paul and Anne. And that is just right off the top. They're just going to all enter one after another before we start the ceremony. Then I give my opening remarks. These are all cleared by the couple. And then the entrance happens, and this is the processional. Catherine starts the processional song, Can't Help Falling in Love. And then there they are. They're all walking in this order. That's the level of detail. And you do all that up front. It's kind of, I understand that it is kind of weird to pursue your couple with like, just a random question here. How should this happen? Or, do you have anybody who you want to, this is why, you can't keep doing that to your couple. You want to sit down and have that comprehensive, exhaustive, leave no stone unturned conversation with them. It takes just an hour. Do it 4 to 6 weeks before the day, and then you won't have any questions. This goes back to what we said earlier. What should we do? X, Y, Z. There is no should, and that's what's so amazing. Your couple will have ideas. Your couple will have seen something weird on TikTok that you're like, okay, let's do that. That sounds super fun. And all you have to do is facilitate their vision. So yeah, absolutely. I love that. And that is how you go about doing it. And you check in with them, the 4 to 6 weeks before the day, it's accomplishing this goal of leaving no stone unturned, finding out every detail. But also it's a great time to get a sense, back to this original comment here, of how much zillah-ing is, how stressed are they? And like I said, it's hard in the moment when someone's being a real jerk. One of the merriers to us. It's also really hard when you see them being that way to others. You almost want to intervene and step in. You have to remind yourself, as I do, these are their closest friends and family. As officiants, we are stepping into these family dynamics, and you're going to see relational patterns at work. The biggest blow up I ever had in a wedding was at a rehearsal where I gathered everybody around, and the mother of the bride was there with a huge binder, like 3 inches thick, full of papers. And she, as I started, here's what we're going to do in the rehearsal. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. The phase 1 of the rehearsal is always to talk it through. And she kept kind of interjecting. I wonder if we could do it this way. And the first time I said, oh, no, the bride, your daughter, I asked them that, and she confirmed that she'd like it this way. And then we go on. So the next thing we're going to do, and she's like, I'm not sure that that's the best way. And I said, oh, well, okay, once again, Shannon, the bride, did want it this way, so we're going to go with that. The third time, she said something like, well, no one listens to me, do they? But I know that there's a better way to do this. And that's when Shannon finally blew up, started swearing at her mother, told her to get the F lost. There were children, ring bearers. Their parents put their hands over their ears and rushed them out of the room. And there was shouting. And, again, you're in charge of the rehearsal, but you're not in charge of the family dynamic by any means. So I did say, oh, okay, can we just, can we take a moment here? Can we step back? And the mother charged out. But there was a sense of like, I need to object here, but I'm not going to take control. You don't, as a professional, you certainly don't have to stand around and witness that. You're going to handle that moment in all the different ways. But I was observing years and years of a deep pattern that was happening between mother and daughter. Turns out the mother was a wedding planner, but the daughter did not want her mother to plan her wedding, and the mother wasn't taking that very well. And so, see, that's what I mean. Like, they were both behaving so badly, but it was because of this tension of, if they were in therapy, and my wife is a trained marriage and family therapist, if they were in therapy, it would have been like, okay, tell me what's really going on here. Why don't you want your mother to plan? Why do you need your daughter to, hire you as the planner, etc.? So, man, as officiants, we step into a lot going on, and we do our best with that, don't we? Sabrina says, I've booked a wedding after discussing my method, met them at Wedding Expo event. We had our second meeting, wedding workshop, and I sent them the questions afterward. The wedding is in November. That's fantastic. After discussing your method. So a wedding expo is a great place to discuss your method, like I say. And then your second meeting was the wedding workshop. That's amazing. And then you got an email this morning saying they do not want the love story. Okay, that's the punchline of this story, I guess. So here's the interesting thing is like, I wonder if your pricing reflects the time it takes to tell the love story. Now, the Love Story Caster does make this super simple, right? We know that. As insiders of the Unboring Wedding Academy style and system, we take their answers. The Officiantly does this for you, generates the story pretty automatically. You might go in there and add your own style and do some tweaks. But, you know, that's why I only have one package. I don't do the non-love story package. I charge $1,000 to officiate, no matter how big the crowd. It's an all-inclusive package. I tell your love story. I go to the rehearsal. And if the couple starts opting out of things, then they know they're still paying me the same price. Now, would I love officiating with no love story? No. And for whatever reason, no couple has ever asked me not to do it. But if that happens, Sabrina, I think you should just take it as, all right, they don't want the love story for some reason. That makes my day a lot shorter. That makes my work a lot easier. We can grieve the fact that we can't really provide that incredible experience, but you can still be personable up there, give your opening remarks, show the guests a really great time. But it's tough when our couple want us to respect their wishes, and those wishes are far from ideal. We know that, but we serve our couple. I know you know this, but we're saying this for the benefit of being live here. If you and I were talking at Wedding MBA, like I'm not saying anything you don't know, but it is hard. At the same time as what I tell the love story. That's what I do. You can still be unboring. Now, I wonder about when they say they don't want the love story. Can you still do what they love about each other? Can you still do what other people love about them? Can you still offer a brief reflection? Again, your talk can still be 4 to 5 minutes. And despite all my work spreading the word and all of you officiating amazing unboring weddings all over the world for almost 9 years now, since I started Unboring Wedding, 2017, we still have our work cut out for us in the sense of the bar is still far too low for wedding ceremonies. I've said I will not rest until the default position for wedding ceremonies is that everyone knows they're going to be absolutely amazing. Guests go into a wedding ceremony the same way they go into like a movie. They know this is going to be, or a sports event. Like this is going to be amazing. I'm so excited. And that if it's not great, then they're disappointed. Unfortunately, right now, and this works in our favor, when we deliver the Unboring Wedding Style and System, people are blown out of their seats. It's like nothing they've ever seen because they weren't expecting it to be awesome. I hope we're turning the corner on that here in 2025. That is our work as professional officiants, as first timers. When you know the bar can be high, we want to jump over that bar. We want to meet that every time. We want to blow people away and ruin boring ceremonies for everybody permanently so that we can have this as the new standing. This is amazing, Ben. The ceremony open house you're going to is free. That is wow, an absolute bonus. Okay, so Sabrina says, if I can't talk them into saying the ceremony, what the heck do you put in place telling the story? The ceremony would be like 5 minutes long. Okay, so I kind of preempted that, I guess. Like there's the love story, there's what they love about each other, there's what everybody loves about them. You can still do a lot of work. And, even in terms of using Officiantly, you can still, and I've talked to people about this before, you can, let me just put this up here. You can kind of you can kind of choose your own adventure with the Love Story Caster. You can send out you can skip the questionnaire part here, but with the couple questionnaire, you can still send the couple's friends and family these questions, right? So you'd want to get you can tell your couple, answer these or don't answer them. That would be part of my gentle pressing. I would send them an email saying, look, I'm going to send you an email from Officiantly. It's going to ask you about your story. You can answer them or not. Then it's going to ask you what you love about each other, and it's going to ask you for some email addresses of friends and family who you know will say great things about you. Please answer those questions as you would like, and I'm going to take your answers as a cue, as my cue to either include or not include. You might need to sell it a little bit, but to answer your question, if they answer those questions with email addresses of friends and family, then you can send them this questionnaire. What do you know about the couple? What do you love about this couple? What makes them so great together? And when those replies come in, then you can build that into the storyboard. You can see here how Officiantly on the left-hand side here, I'm still waiting for a couple of friends and family to reply, but you get the friends and family answers all listed out here. I got some good replies for this weekend's wedding. As you can see, I'm busted. It's not quite finished yet, and it's this Saturday. I'm going to get to work on that right after the live here. But that to me, you can still build a very decent speech rather, because it's built of those components: what they love about each other, what everybody loves about them, and then like a little exhortation about why we're here today. That's built into the template of every wedding and Officiantly. Today is monumental because they're here to promise their lives to each other. So I'd still say you can still chisel together like a 5-6 minute speech, and no one is going to say, man, I wish that officiant had talked longer. It's a surprise when we do talk longer, and it's so interesting and amazing, and it's an emotional ride. But think about all the ceremonies where the officiant talked for 5 minutes and it was like watching paint dry. It will not be that way because you're not going to bore the guests. You'll still make it about the couple, even if you can't blow people away about the story. But you might even say, my favorite go-to, even if it technically doesn't meet the standard of telling the love story, and in fact, this might cut both ways. It doesn't meet the standard of telling the love story if you say, this love story began in a bubblegum factory, and you just really quick, you can just say, here's how they met. Next thing you know, they're at Starbucks together, laughing. There's a connection. And then there's that fateful day on Brooklyn Bridge when she dropped on one knee and asked her to marry. That took all of 30 seconds, maybe, or 1 minute. But guests and the couple appreciate the personableness, the fact that you made it personal to them. Okay. Hopefully that has made some sense for you. Face-to-face networking has grown my business so much. Get out there, folks. Take it from Carla. She's amazing. Absolutely, absolutely. Like I say, when you're in it for the long game and planting those seeds for such a long time, there is nothing like it. It is. You might think, where's the ROI? I've been doing this for 2 months, 6 months. Weddings are so long. Like 1 year out, people are booking. 2 years out. We just saw how Julie said she's booking for 2027. All the relationships and things she's going to do in those 2 years. It is a slow build. Okay. Elaine says, I have had some fairly long ceremonies as there is so much content wanted from the couples. There you go. So again, I don't include everything. And sometimes the love about section is so long. Like last week, the couple, I could show you Officiantly, what they answered was so long that I had to cut some, because it's just because I know that rule that north of 12 minutes, it does not matter what's going on. To me, it's like a movie. People are like, I love Lord of the Rings, but anything over 2 hours and 45, my butt's starting to get numb. And, I don't want the accusation. Apparently this didn't matter to Peter Jackson, but it's a bit too long. I never want people to say that. And, again, I am not a short-winded speaker. You might get that impression because here it is, 6 minutes at the top of the hour. I feel like it's been 5 minutes. Your butts are probably numb, proverbially. So there is a too long, and a lot of time I end up cutting. But that's why I say it cuts both ways. When you have a lot, you're like, oh, it's going to be a lot of work to write this and craft this and cut. And sometimes when a couple gives me very little, I'm like, oh, this is hardly any work at all, but it can still be fun the way that you deliver it. Like I said, this starts in a bubblegum factory. Next thing you know, they're at a Starbucks. It doesn't take long, and you don't have to do a lot of work. But the fact that you're engaging and saying personal things about the couple, the guests are smiling along. And that's all it takes sometimes. I do have a wedding epic coming up that I know will be at least 30 minutes long, Catholic theme, 3 rituals. Wow. Yeah, so those religious ceremonies, those are the exception. If you got to put in all the religious elements, then then what can you do? That needs to be included. John, good to see you here from Massachusetts. You're late, but you are here, and good to see you. Koa, nice to see you here as always. Just scanning here because I don't want to miss any questions. There's awesome stuff happening. Um, Bride shows up to workshop with a 3-inch thick binder. Yeah, like I say, an even bigger red flag is bride's mother shows up to rehearsal with 3-inch thick binder. But yeah, birds of a feather, right? Same kind of thing. Are you doing a meetup at Wedding MBA for the Unboring Wedding Certified Tribe? Yes, not the Certified Tribe. Certified is different. Certified is people who have purchased Academy and Pro and done all the stipulations, signed the standard of conduct, and are listed on the website, unboringwedding.com/certified. It's a bit of a broader tent at Wedding MBA. I like to invite anyone who has purchased the course, Unboring Wedding Academy, who is a member. I will be locking that down and sending out invites to members very soon. Thankfully, the restaurant has gotten back to me. I am in dialogue, choosing the menu, the price, that kind of thing. But it looks like we are locked in for Wednesday, which is the second day of Wedding MBA at 5. And I have it so early, you might think, what is this, early bird senior hour food? Yes, because there is a party at 7:30. And I know last year a lot of you wanted to move on and dance the night away at the official Wedding MBA party. So I don't want to get in the way of that. Naomi and I are so fried after being on the floor all day, expoing Unboring Wedding Academy and talking to planners, that typically we simply pass out in our room. But not before having an amazing dinner with you. Highlight of my year, as always. Sherry says, I created a visual processional standing recessional chart for a couple to help them visualize everything in Canva. That is a really good idea. Great idea. You bring your charts, you show them how people can stand, how people can walk. I have joked that I've seen versions of this on cocktail napkins. The couple are sitting there, they take a napkin, they grab a pen out of the bottom of one of the bags they have, and they start, okay, so Fred's going to go here and Ralph, and then this and that, and they kind of, a chart would be great. That's a great idea. Consummate professional. So Sabrina says, my price has not changed. They haven't even mentioned that. So again, just Sabrina, take it in stride. That's too bad. Hey, I get the same amount of money for slightly less work. I would prefer to tell the story always, but everything, there's two sides to look at every coin. Okay, so let me see. Great conversation here. Jack says, if I purchase your program, do I get the Officiant software for lifetime unlimited? If you purchase the program, you get your first ceremony on Officiantly free, because as I said before, I want everybody to be able to experience building their ceremony, their first ceremony in this style and system with Officiantly, and the training. When you log into the course, it's videos of me talking, and then I flip over to screen shares of, okay, inefficiently you're going here. I'm teaching you how to officiate in this style and this system with my template scripting that's all preloaded. It's all there, and the videos wrap around and support Officiantly and vice versa. You do have the option to upgrade to unlimited, which lets you do as many ceremonies as you want in a 12-month span. It is a software, so you got to think of like any software subscription that you might have or use, Office 365, Glow Yoga, Allo, whatever it is, right? It's a subscription model. And that really is because of the amount of bandwidth that I do pay for on servers, using the AI. Every time something is generated, I'm not charging you extra for that. But that is a cost of having software hosted and bandwidth and AI output and things like that. So in addition to the $30,000 that it costs to develop this software that I am still paying for, I don't mind saying that transparently, because it is, to me, the greatest officiant software that has ever existed. And we are about to add full AI capacity in the ceremony script draft area. I'm constantly improving this thing. I'm kind of obsessed with it. Thankfully, my wife does oblige me and let me do that. but it's kind of like a playground where I'm just like, what next? What do we need as officiants and celebrants next to make this the best it can be? Because I do not suffer inconveniences, especially in a software that helps us do the very best we can with our couples and eliminate all the mundane steps of officiating. So hopefully that was helpful. Unboringweddingacademy.com. You will see the details on there. I'm going to give you a wink, nudge, nudge. You do get an offer at checkout that would be, it's lower than any other time that you'll see it, to upgrade to Officiantly Unlimited. And if you make that decision at checkout, it is far, far cheaper than doing it later on. But many of you in the chat here have purchased Officiantly Unlimited, and you are, when I show you this kind of screenshot in Officiantly, and you're seeing all the ceremonies listed on the side here, that is, you can look at my ceremonies; they're all listed here. You get this with unlimited. With Academy, you get full feature access for one ceremony, because it's just so convenient. I want you to be able to. I never want you to use another method. You can send emails back and forth, but all that mundaneness. I'd rather you channel all your time and effort on energy, crafting the ceremony, working with your couple, building the speech storyboard at the end, but the love story caster automatically generates it for you, etc. Thanks for that question, Jack. Paul says, where is everyone staying at Vegas? I always stay at the Westgate with my wife. It's right next to the convention center. Use the monorail. We can talk more about this in the next couple of weeks. And anyone who's not going to Wedding MBA is going to be absolutely sick of hearing it. But hey, join the course on boringweddingacademy.com. Come to Vegas. Meet us all for dinner. It would be absolutely fantastic. I am paying for members to have dinner, and I'm not paying for non-members to have dinner. There you go. So, friends, it is 2 o'clock my time, 1 o'clock Eastern. I'm not going to go through all the time zones. It's been an hour and 1 minute, and this has been a lot of fun. I am so thrilled to have been able to connect with you again today. Thank you for your questions. Hopefully that helped you prep a little bit. So many of you have so many weddings this weekend. I had more to talk about, but we're going to restrict this to an hour. I'll just bump those to next week, because we are here live every single Thursday at noon Eastern. So, this is an ad infinitum conversation. My Latin's a bit rusty there. And I just love getting together with you in the chat. You're also helpful to each other. Watch out for those zillas out there. They are few and far between. If you do meet one, remember, it's just somebody who's super stressed, not their best self. And like Opie said, once all the tension leaves, typically that person will shake to and say, that wasn't me. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being the most incredible officiant and celebrant who is kind and patient and long-suffering and forbearing and all the things, because that is who we are. Whether it is your first time or whether you are a pro, when you have confidence in your script, you know what you're about, and you know that you have answered all the questions that need to be answered when it comes to the ceremony, whether you buy the book, whether you have Officiantly, whether you've just tagged along on YouTube. Thanks to those of you who are just signing on here today because you've subscribed to the channel. I'd say having all the answers to the ceremony question and then fulfilling those out and helping your couple realize their vision, you're going to get that big hug at the end, just like Opie got, no matter how your couple felt along the way. But it is good to check in with them 4 to 6 weeks before the day and say, how are you doing? Maybe you might need to take a bit of a counselor role and just assure them, hey, your day's going to go great. Stay relaxed. Remember, the ultimate purpose is to get married. And that's what we're going to do in the ceremony. And that's why I am going to make sure everything about that hour, half an hour before the ceremony, throughout the ceremony, when you head up that aisle, everything is taken care of. We're going to make sure that is what you do so well, friend officiant, no matter what your level of experience. That is That is what we're after for our couples. We do this together. Thank you so much. Thrilled to be live with you. I can't wait to do it again next week. Email me with your questions for the show if we didn't get to it this week, or if you got one coming up. I always love to cover things. I had things that I didn't even get to today. And you're like, well, Mark, that's not our fault. That's because you talk so much. You're right. But that's why I come on here for an hour every week and know that I can keep doing so. Friends, love being on this journey with you. Have a great weekend officiating. Let's check in with each other next week and tell each other how it went. Until then, have a good one. Appreciate you all. And as Sabrina said, marry on. Thanks, friends.